Good afternoon and welcome to my YouTube channel, Pearson and Excel International Maths by Mr. Kamotho. And in this video, I want to introduce you to Excel International IGCSE 91 Mathematics A. And of course, we'll be dealing with students book number 2. And this is where candidates begin now. And now that you have stepped into year 11, I would want to introduce this book to you and tell you that it's very critical that we follow all the examples, that we explain everything that is happening in this book. And I'll start by Numbers 6, which is the very first example or rather topic in this textbook. And in number 6, we will start with direct proportion. Of course, before direct proportion, there are some learning objectives over there. You may read them and understand them. And of course, we have some basic principles that you ought to have understood in your previous classes or lessons. You're supposed to know how to plot a graph. You are supposed to have understood the rules of indices, though we are going to repeat that at some point. And of course, we are supposed to understand what ratio is all about. So today, I want us to just introduce something called direct proportion and say the following. Under direct proportion, we are talking about two quantities. And if two quantities are directly proportional, then when one is multiplied or divided by a number, the same thing happens to the other quantity. For example, if we are talking of a quantity being multiplied by 2, we are also talking about the other quantity still being multiplied by 2. That means when one quantity increases, the other quantity increases. And that is just what we have. Basically, this is what we should understand. And there's an example there. For example, if 4 kgs of apples cost $6, we are told that 4 kg will cost $6. Then 8 kg will simply cost $12 because we have multiplied 4 by 2 to get 8, and that means we need to multiply 6 by 2 to get 12. At the same time, we need to understand that 2 kg is supposed to be costing now $3, because what we do to this, we have divided 4 by 2 to get 2, and that means we should eventually be able to divide 6 by 2 to get $3, and so on and so forth. But basically, of most importance, remember that in direct proportionality, when one quantity increases, the other quantity increases at the same rate. And that is why we say that direct proportionality forms a graph that looks like this. It starts from the origin, and of course, that is the way. This is the y, and this is the x as variables. So when x increases, y increases at the same rate. And this means we are dealing with direct proportionality. You could be having probably, let's have the mass in kg if we are talking about apples, and in this we are talking about the cost when you're talking about dollar. And that is it. When the mass of the apples increase, so does the cost. And I want us to just go to example 1. And in example 1, we're saying that the cost of a phone call is directly proportional to its length. And a 3-minute call costs $4.2. Let us just write it down here. We have minutes and we have cost. And we are talking about 3 minutes cost $4.2 and 4.2. So the question is, what is the cost of an 8-minute call? What is the cost of an 8-minute call? What we need to do in this, because the question is now here, what we need to do, the question is now there. We need to first of all establish if 3 minutes we pay $4.2, how much do we pay for 8 minutes call? There are two approaches to this question. We may be interested to know how much are we supposed to pay for 1 minute. And you can see to get 1, we have divided 3 by 3 to get 1. That means we should also be able to divide 4.2 by 3. And that means we should get 1.4. And therefore, 8 minutes, it means we multiply 1 by 8 to get 8. That means we should also multiply 1.4 by 8 to get 11.2. All these are dollars. And that is as far as part A is concerned. That is just one approach. The other approach, I would talk of it sometimes later, because I would need to first of all make you understand something which is quite fundamental. But I should hint to you something of this nature would happen. 4.2, 8. The question is here. So when the question is on this other side of the cost, then under this cost we write 4.2 times, we assume if 3 minutes we paid 4.2, how much do you think would have paid when we are talking for 8 minutes? I don't want you to give me the answer. I want you to tell me, do we pay more or less? Do we pay more or less? And the obvious answer is we pay more. If we pay more, we establish the greater fraction between the two, and obviously this is 8/3, and it will also give us 11.2. That is the second approach, so to speak, but I will elaborate it further when its time comes. I want us to talk about part B of the question. How much a call cost 23.1? How long is it? You know, there is the minute here and there is the cost. We had 3 minutes, we had 4.2. Now we have 23.1. The cost, the question is on minutes. Directly, it goes without saying that if $1, for how long shall we call for $1? It means we divide everything by 4.2, and then we multiply everything by 23.1. But assuming that one is going to be a long method or a long approach, let us see. The question is on minutes, so we write a 3 there, times what? The question is, for 3 minutes, we paid 4.2. But for a known number of minutes, we paid 23.1. Somebody should tell me, did we talk for longer or for a shorter period than when we paid 4.2? Obviously, the answer is we talked for longer. And then we look for the bigger fraction between the two, 23.1 all over 4.2, and we get our answer to be 16.5 minutes. That is it, and but this is just introduction. We will talk more about it when its time comes. I know it's coming. This is just something to introduce you to something that is happening in the future. But basically, this is how we deal with direct proportionality. Of most importance, please remember, when one quantity increases, the other one increases at the same rate. We have been able to answer the two questions or to explain example 1. Yes, visit my YouTube channel, Pearson and Excel International Maths by Mr. Kamotho. Subscribe and share widely so that we can walk this journey of mathematics together. All right.